The Chicago Bears get back on track with a 10-4 record after demolishing the Cleveland Browns 31-3 on the lakefront. Will the path to the NFC North Division title get a little bit more clearer? We'll give you our answers coming up. In the rest of the NFL, two major injuries occurred yesterday. One will affect the Chicago Bears, the other will affect the league going forward. In basketball, the Chicago Bulls played in front of a half-packed house as they lose to the New Orleans Pelicans. Yes, and Zion Williamson played. Yay! In the rest of the NBA, the finalists for the NBA Cup are now set. In college basketball, the final line night, they lose a heartbreaker at the buzzer to Fred Hoiberg's Nebraska Cornhuskers. The Blackhawks lose their current star while celebrating their past stars. And we have the return of old school TV Monday. That and a whole lot more as Second City Sports Bears Victory Monday edition starts now.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Keep him on the field. And this one, a drive into left center field. Going back is Churio at the wall. Get out! Robert Jr., his fourth of the season. And the Sox take the lead 2-1.
Armstrong gets into another one. Sends Edman back. He's watching it land in the stands. What a night for Pete Crow Armstrong. Goes wide. Up Bedard again. And he scores. What a play!
On Jordan Bennington, no chance at all for the Blues netminders. Connor Bedard. Wow.
Getting what a pass. Buzelis with the fade on the drive.
They're blitzing. It's picked up. Caleb throws. Middle of the field. Loveland catch. Breaks away the 30. Loveland 20. Loveland 10. Loveland end zone. Touchdown Bears.
Welcome back to the hashtag Bears Victory Monday edition of Second City Sports. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Soul Chicago, along with Miss LaKeena McGee, which is she. I'm Sidney Brown over here. You know it's me. You can follow yours surely on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Kid McGee on the Twitter, execute again, IG.
Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We're unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion, do our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. You better hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up of the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I forget LaKeena full powers to give your dumb balls to Bill and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, shout out to our live game. That's LIVE Live Entertainment Game. That's checking us out live in living color right now at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels at 12:21 p.m. Central Standard Time. But much love to the replay game, checking us out on the replay, also at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels. Don't you ever forget our motto where we talk sports, music, or entertainment. We will always provide.
We value some of the best heroes I can see. Sports, of course, Illinois. Some of the tough loss to Nebraska at home. Some more college hoops action. College bowl seasons underway. A history-making Heisman Trophy winner. We'll talk about that as well. Old school TV Monday. The Bulls, well, they lose again to the Pelicans. And it's down to the final two in the NBA Cup. With a budding rivalry in the Western Conference. And also Connor Bedard gets injured. But there might be some good news. It might be, speaking of injuries, injuries abound in the NFL, as there have been some major ones. We'll talk about that. But first, the Bears, of course, kicking off our NFL Power Hour. The Bears pummel the Browns as they should have, 31-3. Caleb Williams there for 2 TDs. DeAndre Swift had 2 rushing TDs, but it was a defensive gift for the Bears. They sacked Shedeur Sanders 5 times and caught 3 interceptions. including one from DeMarco Jackson, also Jalen Johnson as well. But it wasn't all good news for the Bears, though, as Rome Odunze re-aggravated his foot injury. Now there's word that it might be a fracture in that injury. So yeah, that might be something to look out on as they'll be going to get ready to face the Packers on Saturday. So I watched a little bit of it on the replay. Didn't watch it live because I knew it was going to be kind of one-sided. The whole bear weather thing is just like, okay, yeah. Well, San Francisco, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and the San Francisco 49ers might have something to say about that from 1989, the NFC title game, or did y'all forget about that? But but whatever. But yeah, I mean, look, they did what they're supposed to do, so there you go.
You're bringing up bad memories, LaKeena. Nobody talks about that enough from the 88 NFC Championship game. You mentioned January of 89, but that's another issue. Maybe we'll talk about that next week as the Bears play the 49ers. But back to yesterday's game. We expected the Bears to dominate the Cleveland Browns because Cleveland is in a rebuild again, and they're a young team, not a good team. Shedeur Sanders is still trying to get his feet wet, becoming a starting quarterback in this league. On the flip side for Chicago, after losing a heartbreaker at Green Bay last Sunday afternoon in front of a national audience, they returned home to frigid temperatures, and whatever ailed them, they had a chance to correct them. For the most part, they did yesterday, scoring 31 points. The running game got back on track. The offensive line, even though Myles Garrett of Cleveland picked up a sack and a half, I thought the Bears did a tremendous job on him. I know Michael Strahan from Fox NFL Sunday pointed it out at halftime. Also, too, Caleb Williams, he did a nice job. 2 touchdown passes, both to DJ Moore. I know there were some reports saying that DJ Moore was unhappy. He doesn't like Caleb Williams. He said in the locker room yesterday afterwards, what problem? I scored 2 touchdowns at home, so go shove it. No pun intended. And, of course, the Bears defense all year, like they did yesterday, they live off the takeaways. They got 3 interceptions, as you mentioned, along with 5 sacks. It was an all-around good performance for Chicago to get the kinks out of the system from last week at Green Bay. The most important thing now is, as Ben Johnson said in his presser yesterday, building this momentum. The next game is the most important one. That's against Green Bay next Saturday night.
You listen to Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you. Now that's the one of those TV passes, of course, to DJ Moore that kind of broke the game open for the Bears because it was still pretty close, a little too close for I think some Bears fans liking, and that was a very dangerous throw. Now I know veteran photographer, they just posted it on Joe Tade, who is a veteran Bears photographer. He's been doing it for like about 15, 20 years now. And I think that the angle from that TD pass from Williams to the Dunes to DJ Moore, I should say. And that was a very dangerous throw. And if there were a couple of Browns players, the secondary that jumped on a little too early, so they're very lucky that DJ was there. I think that was more DJ catch. Being there right there to catch it, because if it had floated a little bit more, one of those Browns players could have caught that as an interception. So I know people want to say, "Oh, that was a crazy throw." Well, that was more on DJ Moore saving that from being could have been a bad interception. But I digress. Now again, to Caleb Williams' credit, I mean he does have the fewest TDs through 1,000 career attempts so far. Okay, but I think look, it's hard to get excited because this is a 3-win Browns squad. They're not, Stefanski. There were a couple of times where Stefanski should have went for it, and you could probably tell he's probably going to be on his way to get his paint symbol link card too at the end of the season. Myles Garrett, he's getting closer to the single season sack record. He's got a lot to think about during the offseason as well. Is he going to want to ask for a trade? I know he's kind of a massive deal. So yeah, I mean it's hard to kind of get excited, and they got the 10 wins. Okay, fine. But again, you did it against a team that really didn't have much to play for the most part. So, okay, you got a chance to look whatever was going on between Moore and Williams. Maybe at least for this week, it's everything is all good. The defense did what they're supposed to do. So, okay, yeah, you did. Okay, you took care of business. You did what you had to do. So, let's get to this. These next 3 games because these last 3 games are not going to be gimmies. Packers, yeah, I know they've had a couple of injuries, but they're still the Packers. The 49ers, we'll see where they are. They're going to have a lot to play for as well. In Detroit, they might be playing for a playoff spot. So you need to take care of business. So I know every Bears fans want to walk around and be have their chest puffed out and such, but none of these 3 games are going to be gimmies. And these you could easily, yes, you can win 2 of these 3 or maybe even all 3, but you can lose all 3. So I think I need the Bears fans to kind of take a beat on this.
You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. City LaKeena here with you, recapping the Chicago Bears 31-3 victory yesterday over the Cleveland Browns at the Lakefront. Did you watch it, listen to it, or you were one of those 54,000 brave souls that braved the frigid temperatures to watch the game inside Soldier Field yesterday? We want to hear your thoughts in the comments at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. For those of you that are watching us on the replay, we'll take your comments too. Obviously, we can't read them live on there, but we'll read them after the show for those of you that are watch it on the replay. LaKeena, I know there's no such thing as a perfect game in the NFL. A couple of things that bothered me yesterday from the Bears game. One, Cairo Santos, he missed an easy field goal. As we talked about on Friday, if it came down to a last-second field goal, I didn't trust him, especially in those conditions. He did miss an easy field goal in that first half yesterday. I believe it was in the second quarter. And at the end of the first half, I don't know if you saw it. It was a 4th and 4 play. It was Ben Johnson called the pass play. Caleb Williams went to throw the pass. It was called. It was trying to do this little lateral thing to run out the clock. But Caleb Williams came up gimpy with that ankle. Now, it did not affect him in that second half. As you mentioned, he threw that incredible touchdown pass to DJ Moore in the back of the end zone in that third quarter. Those couple of plays really concerned me. And thank goodness Caleb did shake it off, because it did not look good with him limping into the locker room. But I want to talk about Cairo Santos. He did make a field goal late in the second half to basically put that game away. But I'm not trying to compare this team to the 2018 team, but some of these scenarios are very familiar. Although Cairo Santos has not been as bad, has not been as bad as Cody Parkey was at the end of 2018. But as you mentioned, we're getting down to the nitty gritty of the season. You're going to play these better teams to finish out the regular season. The competition gets even harder in the playoffs. If your kicker cannot make kicks, especially in weather like this, he's been here for a while now, so he should know how to kick in situations and weather conditions like this. If you can't master this skill by now, what are you doing to be in the NFL, especially on this team?
You better hope that it doesn't, if it comes down to a playoff spot or divisional, it doesn't come down to a kick. Because if not, you're going to end up hearing double doinks from here to down to the lakefront. So we'll see what happens there. Now I'm going to do my bear of the game. Hungriest bear of the game was DJ Moore, of course. All the rumors going on. He had two TD catches and such. So yeah, that's my hungriest bear of the game. Luther Burden the third, he left the game with an ankle injury, so that's another thing that is an injury that the Bears got to look out for. But he had a couple of big catches to kind of keep the Bears drives going, so that's why they were able to beat the Browns, I should say, like they did. So it took care of business.
Yeah, I'll give you my hungriest bear in a quick nugget or two when we get back from this break. But here's the thing about this Chicago team. You mentioned they're 10-4. They could easily lose the next 3 games, but I think with this team being so focused right now and Ben Johnson has the pulse of this team, I don't think he's going to let that happen. Now, I think they will beat the Packers next Saturday night, given that situation. We'll talk about that on the other side. But given back what happened to them yesterday against Denver, and given it back to fact that what happened the last time they played Green Bay last week, there's a lot of motivation in that locker room right now. There wasn't a whole lot of celebrating yesterday. I don't know if you saw Ben Johnson's famous good, better, best speech, but they were happy, but they know that they're a bigger task at hand. So the Bears are focused, and I think they'll be ready for next Saturday night. And with those other teams that you mentioned, LaKeena, battling for that top spot in the NFC, the Bears have a chance to be number 1. I think being number 1 seed is an outside shot, but I think realistically they have a chance to be number 2, no worse than number 3. They could, if they finish at those top 3, top 4 spots, they'll definitely host a playoff game on Wild Card Weekend. But if they finish at number 2 or number 3, they can maybe host a divisional playoff game. So there's still a lot of things to play for, and Ben Johnson has this team focused, and they play not just for him, but they play for each other last year. Definitely a 360 for what happened a year ago.
They could also miss the playoffs too entirely. So Yeah, you could say all that, but a lot.
Technically, they can, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, we'll see. Look, there's still a lot of the season left to be played, even though there's still 3 weeks left. Now we're gonna take a really quick break. Of course, we'll talk about some of those injuries and such, including the end of an era, perhaps for maybe one team, and a big comeback. And one team that played on Thursday that lost is breathing a sigh of relief. LaKeena, McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. More NFL, including studs and duds, coming up right after this.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
Whoops! Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGetty, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on the hashtag Bears Victory Monday this year. Locked and loaded in real life in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Keena McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
And if we are continuing our wrap up of our Bears post game, as the Bears defeated the Cleveland Browns yesterday 31-3, and we'll get to the rest of the action from around the league from yesterday coming up. If you have any questions or comments regarding those subjects, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get up on the screen for you.
Real quick, Sid, because we got a lot of games to recap. Who is your hungriest Bear?
My hungriest Bear for the second time since we've been doing this, DeMarco Jackson, number 48, the Bears backup linebacker. He had 7 total tackles, including 2 solo. He had 1 of the 5 sacks for Chicago. He also had a tackle for loss and 2 passes deflected. So DeMarco Jackson, number 48, the backup linebacker, will get my player of the game. And the Bears only let the Browns convert only on 3 of 13 attempts for a third down. Remember, the Bears on third and short defensively has struggled all year, but yesterday on third down, the Cleveland was only 3 of 13 on third down yesterday. So a great job by the defense, and the Bears were 3 for 4 in the red zone. Which of course the missed opportunity was that Kyra Santos field goal in the first half. So the Bears cleaned up those two situations again yesterday.
All right, let's get into the rest of the NFL week 15 slate. We'll start with this one because I don't think anybody had the score, but maybe I think some people probably had the result. The Ravens shut out the Bengals 24-0. Lamar Jackson had 2 TD passes. Derrick Henry had 100 rushing yards. Zay Flowers caught one of those TD passes as well from Jackson, but it was really the defense that was the story. Roquan Smith, the former Bear, led the way in interceptions. They had 3 sacks total. Speaking of Joe Burrow, 225 yards and 2 interceptions. The running game, Chase Brown did have 53 receiving yards. Jamar Chase, 132 receiving yards to lead the way there in the losing effort. But yeah, it was all Ravens here as they get back to 500.
Can you hear me, LaKeena? I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, we're recapping Ravens Bengals from yesterday. I think Sid's having trouble with his audio. All right, let's do a refresh. Do a refresh, and come back and come in and come back. Live technology, folks. You gotta love it. There as we.
Okay. I got you now. Yeah, I got you now. Right. Yeah. So, comment on the comment on the Ravens Bengals game yesterday. Joe Burrow looks like definitely times has definitely hit hard for him both on and off the field. He did not have a great. That was the story, including that interception return for the touchdown in that fourth quarter to kind of seal the deal for them. Also, let's not forget the Baltimore's running game. Derrick Henry 11 carries for 100 yards. He finally started to get back on track as well. So Baltimore with Pittsburgh hanging on to that slim lead in the division with a big game tonight against the Dolphins. It was very important for the Ravens to win big on the road yesterday.
Yeah, they got a couple of big games coming up as well. So going to be interested to see what they do here. The Jags 48-20 over the Jets. Trevor Lawrence threw for 5 TDs. And he also had a rushing TD as well. It was all Brady Cook, he had his first TD pass of his career to Dye Mitchell, but that was basically about it as he threw 3 interceptions. So, Jacksonville, they go to 10-4, and look, no lagging so far for them. So they've looked really good.
Yeah, for the Jets, Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator, is no longer there. He got his pink slip and link card after yesterday's loss with the Jets giving up 48 points. You mentioned about Brady Cook. His family is there at the game. I actually saw this live on NFL Red Zone. CBS showed his family after he threw his first career touchdown pass. I thought that was an awesome moment. One of the few highlights for the Jets yesterday. On the flip side, for Jacksonville, as you mentioned, this is clearly Trevor Lawrence's best performance in years at quarterback. And Travis Etienne, first time in a couple of years, he's really good in my opinion, at Jacksonville Jaguars backfield. He also scored a couple of touchdowns yesterday, 3 of them in the receiving department, 3 catches for 73 yards. So Jacksonville, it's going to be a battle between them and Houston for that AFC South Division title. And so people have overlooked the Jags all year. They're here to stay for the time being.
Speaking of Houston, they also took care of business against Arizona. Well, Brady Cook, his parents were high-fiving after that TD pass. So that was a cute moment there. I saw a little bit of that as well. Now, speaking of Houston took care of business against Arizona, 40-20, 3 TDs for C.J. Stroud. Jahar Jordan, 101 rushing yards. Nico Collins got 2 of those TD passes from Stroud. On the flip side, Jacoby Brissett, pretty solid 3 TD passes. 2 of those to Trey McBride and the other one to Michael Wilson. But it was basically all Houston as the defense, again, stepped up for them and kind of kept the Cardinals at bay. And, the garbage points late for the Cardinals, but it was basically all Houston in this one.
Yeah, we said on our show last Friday, because of what we talked about with the Bears and the Browns in our last segment, how many points that the Texans were going to put up against a bad team they were facing. Well, they decided to put up a 40 piece against a bad team. CJ Stroud, as I said, he needed to have a good game. He did yesterday with 3 touchdown passes off of 260 passing yards. But Houston's depth offensively is starting to get tested again as well. Woody Marks, their starting running back who scored a touchdown early in the game, he got nicked up. So Jahar Jordan came in, 50 carries, 101 rushing yards. So the Texas ground game was still solid, but the Texans defense was solid as well. As you mentioned, I know they gave up a couple of ugly touchdowns toward the end, but the Houston's defense is very good, LaKeena, and to the rest of everybody out there listening and watching. Houston's defense is very legit. Now, can they get that type of performance offensively every week? That's going to be the main question, because they have a championship. I'm talking about Houston. They have a championship-style type defense that can carry you to a Super Bowl, but can they be consistent enough on offense? That's the million-dollar question.
That's going to be the big thing here, so we'll see what happens there down in Houston. Now, going down to over to New Jersey. I'm going out of order here. Intentionally, I'm going to explain why in a second. The Commanders beat the Giants 29-21. Incidentally, we all picked the Giants. Snargo receiver for KXRB. Well, the Commanders had their best performance in the last few weeks. Marcus Mariota threw for 211 yards in the TD. Ja'Cory Koski-Merritt, Bill, as they call him, he had a rushing TD. McLaren had one of those TD catches from Mariota. Jackson Dart, who got banged up, he threw for 2 TDs before he got banged up. But yeah, I mean, we thought that maybe that the Commanders would be give up this season, but I guess they haven't. So they had that great performance against the Giants yesterday.
Yeah. And they almost gave it away as well. I know the Commanders had that big punt return, which was the deciding factor of the game, but the Commanders were leading by 2 touchdowns late. The New York Football Giants got that fumble that they needed. They went down and scored, but the Commanders did what they had to do to wrap up the game. So the Giants here, LaKeena, they didn't look all that great on offense. They tried to come back, but they just didn't have enough before all the injury bugs started hitting them. But the Commanders, we all knew they're probably going to play better than what they did last week in Minnesota. Well, they were rewarded since snapping that 8-game losing streak.
Yeah, Jalen Lane had that punt return for the TD, as it was talking about. Now, well, I mean, look, I think we all thought we knew this was going to be it. If this would have happened out in Philadelphia, who knows what would have happened. The city might have shut down. Philadelphia did shut out the Raiders, as they should have, 31-0. Jalen Hurts threw for 3 TDs. Saquon Barkley had a rushing TD. Dallas Goedert caught 2 of those TDs for Philadelphia. Now, on the flip side, Kenny Pickett is game back. An interception. The rushing game wasn't a factor. Yeah, it was basically all Philadelphia for this one.
Yeah. I think, need I say more? I'll just say this. Jalen Hurts looked like the Jalen Hurts of last year. He was running a whole lot, a lot of RPO, run pass option for those you scored at home. And also, Saquon Barkley, he didn't have statistics, but he was running like Saquon Barkley of last year. See, if you get a game plan fit to your talents, your talents, abilities, this is what can happen. Yes, just like the Houston Texans, yes, just like the Chicago Bears, the Philadelphia Eagles were facing a lesser opponent, and to get those kinks out of your system, you have to do this against everybody, but you had a lesser opponent in front of you, and so what cures it the best? You go beat a bad Las Vegas Raiders team. Now, is everything all right in Philadelphia's world? I think eventually it will be to end out the regular season, but for right now, it looked great yesterday. We'll see how Philadelphia finishes the season, because 2 of the next games they got the Washington Commanders, so we'll see how Philadelphia can finish the season strong.
And in between those 2 games, they faced the Bills. And speaking of the Bills, they came back from 21 down to beat the Patriots 35-31. Josh Allen threw for 3 TDs. James cooked 107 yards and 2 TDs. On the flip side, Drake May had threw for 156 yards and an interception. 2 TDs by Tre'Davion Henderson, 148 rushing yards as well. Now they were up 21-0 as I said earlier. I actually watched this game. Of course, this game was up on opposite the Bears game on CBS, and but look, they got into that. They went down the field, scored. That helped them, and of course, the defense made adjustments late. Matt Milano had 2 sacks. He sacked May twice. Now, all the Patriots had to do was win and clinch the division. Well, the Bills said, not so fast. Said, well, they had a great comeback, and now the division is up for grabs again.
Yeah, and the Bills, most importantly, even up the season series with the Patriots at 1 game apiece. As we said on the show last Friday during our picks, the Patriots, great season so far despite the schedule. Yes, they beat the Bills as part of that to start the year or on the road, but they haven't been tested yet lately. So this game yesterday was going to be the ultimate test. Like you mentioned, great first half by New England. The Buffalo Bills secondary in particular has been soft all year long. They were playing a lot of man coverage. New England took advantage of that, but you mentioned the adjustments both defensively and offensively were made at halftime. The Bills came out outscoring New England 28-7 in that second half. So I watched the majority of this game as well. Josh Allen adjusted in that second half. Dalton Kincaid, one of his best tight ends, was used to line this offense. And James Cook, you let him cook with running the football, and that's what happened in that second half. So the Bills overall were the better team in the second half, and they were rewarded handsomely with a 4-point win.
Also giving Mike Vrabel his first loss coming off a bye. He had been 6-0 at that point. So I guess the Bills gonna be very interesting these next few weeks because they're done playing each other. We'll talk about the Bills and Patriots, so it could come down to wins, if you will. Now off to Arrowhead in the last of the noon game, 16-13. The Chargers came back and beat the Chiefs. Justin Herbert threw for a TD. Amari Hampton rushed for 61 yards. On the flip side for Pat Mahomes, 189 yards and an interception. Unfortunately, he got hurt. I saw this. I was watching this game on the computer, and I saw when he tore his ACL. That did not look good at all. Gardner Minshew came in, had a chance perhaps maybe get them down the field, perhaps maybe get a chance to tie it. Unfortunately, Derwin James said, and Mahomes had already been sacked 5 times at that point, so he was already short. He was also always short with that knee injury as well. And because of that loss to the Chargers, not only the Chargers win the season series, but the Chiefs have now been eliminated from playoff contention, and for the first time in a decade, though there will be no Chiefs in the playoffs. This will also be the first time that there will be no AFC representation with the Chiefs, and also they're just definitely. I'm not gonna say it's the end of an era over there, but especially with the Mahomes injury, we'll see how bad it is once they have this, or once they do the surgery on it. He might be out for part of next season too. That's the rumor right now. So I'm not going to say this is the end of an era, but look, 7 consecutive AFC championship game appearances, 10 consecutive playoff appearances, 3 consecutive Super Bowl appearances. So I don't we'll talk about that down the road with that, but at least for right now, so far, the Chiefs. They had already struggled a little bit. I know Mahomes. I would say that they could come, make a run. Well, unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I watched some of this game too. The Chiefs did look hot earlier, as I talked about with Jalen Hurts in the Eagles game with the Raiders. Mahomes was starting to run a little bit, especially on their first drive, which they scored their touchdown. He was starting to look like the old Patrick Mahomes, but LaKeena, for the rest of that game, the Chiefs scored 6 points for the remaining 3 quarters. The Chiefs' offense has looked pedestrian for the last 2.5 years, and yesterday was a house of cards that came crashing down. The Chargers, Justin Herbert was beat up a little bit, but he hung in there tough. And you mentioned Amari Hampton was the MVP, in my opinion, yesterday for that Chargers offense. Yes, Keenan Allen, one-time Bear from last year. He made an incredible catch late in the game, but Hampton was the savior for that Chargers offense. And it's now now, as we go on, the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles on this show, along with the Denver Broncos. They're going to represent the AFC West in the playoffs. So the Chargers, we all know that the identity of Jim Harbaugh, he likes to rough it up a bit, control the tempo, play defense, and run the ball. They got the job done yesterday at Arrowhead against the defending AFC champs.
Now, going into the 3 o'clock games, and with some of these, let's do this game first and get this one out the way. Carolina loses to New Orleans, and I have to say, and look, I know that their social media team were very positive about this after the Bucs lost to the Falcons on Thursday night. Tyler Show had a TD, 272 yards. Devin Neal had a rushing TD. Bryce Young, a TD pass. Here we go, Dowdo. Wasn't really a factor, but he did have a rushing TD. And unfortunately, a missed field goal. Well, not missed field goal, but there were a couple of missed plays late for the Panthers. And now they're back at 500. And now because of that loss, Tampa is back in first place in the NFC South.
I know one of those plays you were talking about, LaKeena. I actually saw this live via Red Zone. Tyler Show did a scramble with no pass rush for the Panthers late in the game because everybody knew that New Orleans were going to set up for a potential game-winning field goal. After the slide of Mr. Show, one of the Carolina defenders hit him and actually showed on replay. He hit him in the shoulder, not in the head. But what the way the rules are in today's NFL, you can't hit the quarterback like that, especially when he was beginning to slide. The defender for the Panthers was called for a penalty, which set up the 47-yard field goal, which was good for the Saints. As we said on the show last Friday, the Panthers should win this game, but it's going to be close because, one, the Saints beat them early in the year in Carolina. And number two, it's a division game. So we knew that Carolina was going to have to play better. Bryce Young kind of played okay, but he wasn't really at his best. Early, the Panthers were, but Tyler Show was the better quarterback on this day. And Carolina, you hope that David Canales was their head coach, their second-year head coach. He's done a remarkable job with the squad that no one expected them to be at 500 at this point. But you wonder with a devastating loss like this, with them playing Tampa next week, you hope it doesn't deflate a young team like this.
And if you're, Carolina, you know that we swept by the Panthers of all teams. That's gonna, that could come back to bite you. So gonna be interesting to see these next few weeks if you're a Panthers fan, you're gonna be looking back at those two losses and say, yeah, you could have. Now would be the difference between now and not making the playoffs.
Yeah, as we say every year with the teams that are contending for the playoffs or have playoff spots, looking for playoff spots to wrap up. When you play a lesser team that's on your schedule, do not take them lightly because things like this happen. So you saw what happened yesterday with the Carolina Panthers.
Off to Seattle we go, as this game actually ended up being, I guess, a lot more thrilling than I think a lot of folks anticipated. 18-16, the Seahawks held off the Colts. Phillip Rivers in his first time back playing in years threw a TD and 87 rushing yards for Mr. Jonathan Taylor. On the flip side, 271 yards passing yards for Zach Darnold. Jigga did this thing 113 yards and such. So it was a battle of the field goals, if you will. And but I think we all thought that this would be a weird game for many reasons, and sure enough, there was. There was I think 6 or 7 field goals in total between both these teams, and the Seahawks did just enough. They had I think Kobe Bryant, not that Kobe Bryant, but Kobe Bryant had an interception that sealed that win for the Seahawks. Yeah,
I know some people said that the Seahawks were saving some of their stuff for Thursday because they have a short turnaround this week. They're going to host the Los Angeles Rams in about 3 days. So we'll see what happens in that contest. But as far as yesterday is concerned, the Seahawks were put in check by the Colts defense in the first half. You mentioned Jackson Smith and Jim, but he was a non-factor in that first half. He got it going in that second half. Phillip Rivers, I thought he was going to look a little bit worse than than anticipated, but he actually did okay. Now, when it was time for him to throw the ball down the field at the end, you mentioned Kobe Bryant picked him up to seal the game. But I thought Phillip Rivers' performance was a slightly above average for a guy that has to play NFL football in 5 years. And shout out to CBS for showing his high school that he was coaching in Alabama. They had a watch party. All his the players that he was coaching, and of course with the facility and faculty rather, and his administrators, they were watching the game at a watch party at his high school that he was coaching at. They were really showing him some love and support. That was very awesome.
That was actually very cool to see, and he almost pulled it off too. So
yeah,
Indy, could perhaps still be right there in the chase for that playoff spot in the AFC. Now, staying in the NFC West here, next time we go to San Francisco, well, Santa Clara, in fact, as the 49ers got a little bit of probably kind of the same thing. I don't want to say they lingered against Tennessee, but I think they were kind of, I don't want to say they were playing down to them, but Brock Purdy had 3 TDs, and you got the Purdy Dougie. I don't know what, I guess is what they call it over there in San Francisco. 3 TDs, rushing TD for Christian McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings had 2 of those TD passes from Purdy. On the flip side, Cam Ward, 2 TDs, 170 yards. Tony Pollard had a rushing TD, 104 rushing yards, I should say. And, well, the 49ers pulled away from the Titans. And now Kyle Shanahan, happy birthday to him. His birthday was yesterday, and I guess he did that Purdy. I guess Purdy did that dance for him. So there you go. He turned 46. But yeah, he now goes to 45-19, coming off a bye. So, Sid, what do you think about this? What did you think about this game yesterday?
Oh, shout out to Simons, the defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans. He scored his second career touchdown. Nice job by Cam Ward, even though he was flushed out of the pocket. Simons did not step out of the end zone, unlike Don Beebe and Cordell Stewart back in the 90s. The same rule applies still today. If you're a receiver, especially in the end zone, if you step out of bounds, you come back in, that means you're ineligible. But it didn't happen to my guy Simons. He caught the ball in the back of the end zone and scored the touchdown for the Titans. Only few highlights for Tennessee. But on the flip side for the 49ers, they did what they had to do against a lesser opponent. As we talked about Chicago earlier, the Rams and the Seahawks and the 49ers are battling for that top spot. So let's not ignore the 49ers. We talked about Seattle a couple weeks ago. The 49ers can say the same thing. Don't ignore them for that top seed, and do not ignore them for the NFC West Division title either. You mentioned Kyle Shanahan, happy birthday to him. But give returning defensive coordinator for his second stint, Robert Saleh, credit as well, because all the injuries to the big name stars all year, people said, oh, this is the end of the 49ers, just like in 2020 when they had those rash injuries that cost them a playoff spot. Well, the players that having it now, they've been making plays and they're not going too far out of themselves, and offensively it's keeping this team way above water. So the 49ers they have earned their 10-4 record that they have right now. So I would not ignore the 49ers just yet.
Well, I think if you ask Kyle Shanahan, I think he actually likes the fact that they're kind of under the radar. So I think, they're kind of just, treading along. They're 10-4. They're like, you know what? No one really is paying attention to it. And I think he's fine with that for now anyway. Staying in the NFC West, here, speaking of the Rams, the thriller here, the Rams held off the Lions 41-34. Matt Stafford, 2 TDs, 368 yards. Kyron Williams had 2 TDs. Puka Nacua had 181 yards. So if you had him on your fantasy playoffs, I know you guys had a nice show in there, like I did. But yeah, on the Lions side, 338 yards and 3 TDs for Mr. Jared Goff. The run game really wasn't that much of a factor. So also 2 TDs for Amon-Ra St. Brown and such. So shout out to Tom Brady and Kevin Burkhardt. I know Brady was happy that they were indoors and in a controlled environment instead of last week being in wearing 5 layers. So I know he was happy about that. But even better, the Rams, they got a big win to stay ahead in the NFC West.
Well, Burkhardt and Brady better get ready because they'll be wearing 6 layers, and it's not going to be as cold. But they'll be here in Chicago, calling that Bears-Packers game next Saturday night. But as far as this game yesterday, you could tell that the Detroit Lions missed Branch. I know he's been a troublemaker throughout his career, but he was only a good player in that bad secondary. And then secondary for the Lions got exposed once again yesterday. You mentioned about Puka Nacua, a great performance, but he got nicked up in the middle of that game. He did come back to finish it strong, but you got to worry about the injury to Devontae Adams. I believe he injured his hamstring. I saw the play. I was like, oh, that did not look good. So hopefully that he's not out for too much longer for Los Angeles. Yes, Puka Nacua is the guy, but Devontae Adams has had a great year, and he's definitely helped Matthew Stafford become an MVP candidate, perhaps the top MVP candidate now. But the Rams defense, I think in their secondary got exposed too yesterday. Their defensive line is still solid, but their secondary got exposed too yesterday. So keep that in mind as we head toward the playoffs. But as we said on Friday's show, there was going to be some points put up here. The Rams obviously outscored the Lions. So the Lions are still technically in control of their playoff fate with a tough game against Pittsburgh at home next week. But the Rams is not, even though I still believe they're the most talented team in the NFC, it's not for certain they could get that number one spot. We got to monitor the injury of the Devontae Adams now.
Yeah, especially since it could be in a short week. So they might them, they might not. You got to be very careful with those hamstring injuries. Now, last but not least, for the afternoon side anyway, going into Denver as the Broncos held off the Packers 34-26. Bo Nix threw for 4 TDs, 302 yards. RJ Harvey, I know he got banged up, but he rushed for 65 yards. Jordan Love threw 2 interceptions, unfortunately, 276 yards. Josh Jacobs had a rushing TD. Now, unfortunately, the big news here, the good news, I guess you can call it, that Christian Watson, it was no long term. It was just a bruise. They only did it as a precaution. There you go. They did a CT scan. Everything is good. So no lung damage or anything like that. Now, the big news, unfortunately, is Micah Parsons. He's out for the year with a torn ACL, which is even worse because it was a non-contact injury. Now, I know some Bears fans are over there. I don't want to say celebrating, but there were some of them that were. But look, I think that's still a good, solid, I guess, Packers defense. You got Rashawn Gary. You have, Xavier McKinney, a veteran. So it's still, a lot of guys. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Packers do, especially without Micah Parsons on that defensive front.
Yeah, so we talked about Michael Parsons a couple of weeks ago, previewing the game against Chicago. Michael Parsons is not just a defensive end. He can line up at defensive tackle as well, or he can line up as an occasional linebacker spy, and he can affect the game there, as we saw in that game against Chicago a couple weeks ago. So the Packers defense, even though they have no name defense now with Parsons being gone for the year, it's going to be a challenge. That depth is now starting to get challenged too. Don't forget they don't have Kenny Clark there anymore. He's in Dallas, so and that's going to be another a challenge to overcome as well, as I've been trying to overcome that part of it all year. Offensively for Green Bay, like I said, Josh Jacobs started out strong, but he was forgotten about, in my opinion, in that second half. My turning point in that game, you mentioned with that Christian Watson injury. Patrick Surtain had that interception, and he returned it back into Packers territory. And you saw Bo Nix in the office for the Broncos pick it up from there on. So I didn't think there was going to be that many points scored in this game, but Bo Nix showed up with 4 TD passes. PJ Harvey, he was a non-factor in the beginning, but he started to pick up some yards on the offensive side, rushing in the end for the Broncos. So the Broncos were tested yesterday, and they came out on top. Now they're 12-2, clearly in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Now going into another game, the Sunday night game that had playoff implications, not for a good reason. Minnesota upset Dallas 34-26 as J.J. McCarthy threw for 250 yards and the 2 TDs, probably his best showing, I guess, since second time he's came back from injury. Aaron Jones, McCarthy also had a rushing TD as well. Doing the Giddy not very well, I might add. Jalen Naylor had two of those TD catches. On the flip side for Dallas, Dak had 294 yards. And Javonte Williams, he got banged up. He rushed for 91 yards in the TD. But yeah, it was basically McCarthy that kind of took the Vikings on his back, and they pulled out the big upsets.
Yeah, it shouldn't be shocking to many people, but it was to yours truly last night. JJ McCarthy, he's been injured and maligned. His play has been maligned all year, even though technically he's in his second year. He's in his first year starting in the NFL, and that Vikings defense came up big when they had to last night. That Prescott could tell, even though he had 294 yards passing, he did not look good. Javonte Williams, in my opinion, was the Cowboys' offensive MVP. Yes, CD Lamb was clear to play last night. He put up some good numbers, but you could tell that Cowboys offense really just couldn't get it going, especially in the second half. Only scored a total of 9 points. So Minnesota, even though both teams are technically out the playoff race, Minnesota came up big when they had to hold on to the 8-point win.
They still got. I'm talking about the Cowboys. Still got a 1% chance for what it's worth. So 1%. I mean, I guess it's better than none. I guess.
Tell me
yeah,
there's a chance.
A little bit, a sliver of a chance here. Now, going real quick with your studs and duds.
My 3 stars are as follows: DeAndre Swift for Chicago, 18 carries, 98 yards, including 2 touchdown rushes as the Bears dominate the Browns 31-3 at Soldier Field. My second stud will go to it will go to Amari Hampton of the Los Angeles Chargers, 50 carries for 61 yards as the Chargers hold on to a 3-point win at Arrowhead, beating the Chiefs 16-13. And my third stud will go to Bo Nix, the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, 23 of 34, 302 yards and 4 touchdown passes as the Broncos hold off the Packers at Mile High, 34-26.
I've got JJ McCarthy we just mentioned him a minute ago. Had 2 TDs and a rushing TD as the Vikings upset Dallas at Jerry's World. I'll go back to Thursday. Kyle Pitts, 166 yards and 3 TDs as the Falcons upset the Bucks. Now on the flip side, though, let's see. My third stud, I should say. Nice. Also the Eagles. Nice bounce back win for them, 31-0. Now again, will this solve everything? No, but look, you beat up on a team like the Raiders. I think things are all good for now.
Yep. My 3 duds are as follows: the Cincinnati Bengals. What happened yesterday? Being shut out at home. You're going to send Joe Burrow to a trade request or to early retirement. We'll see what happens in the offseason. My second dud, the Las Vegas Raiders, they showed up physically, but emotionally and mentally, they were not there as they lose to Philadelphia 31-0. And my third dud will go to the Carolina Panthers, 17-7 lead, an important game to take control of the NFC South. You couldn't hold on. Had a couple of dumb plays down the stretch. You lose to the Saints 2017 on the road.
Tampa is my first dud. I mean, you're lucky that the Carolina, that's my second dud, lost to New Orleans. So now you're still in the driver's seat in the NFC South. No, they have my 2 NFC South teams there. But also third, I mean, look, I hate to say this, but I gotta say New England. I mean, you came, you had control of that game. You let Josh Allen, who's a MVP and also going to be a new dad, so going to be his wife Haley Steinfeld will be parents of a new baby coming up next spring. So your Patriots probably your worst game of the season so far. You better hope that this game doesn't come back to bite you for that number one. Maybe not even just the AFC East, but the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yep. And wrapping up the Week 15 slate in the NFL will take place tonight in the Steel City, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as the Pittsburgh Steelers will host the Miami Dolphins. Steelers 7-6, clinging to that slim lead in the AFC North Division. The Dolphins are 6-7. They're still in the hunt for the AFC wildcard spot. LaKeena, Pittsburgh is favored by 3. This game can be seen on ESPN and ESPN2, especially for Christine with the Manning cast. LaKeena, yours truly stepped down and picked the Dolphins. Of course, Tua Tagovailoa, the starting quarterback for the Dolphins, has only won 1 game in the cold throughout his career. No TJ Watt for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is going to be an ugly slug'em game tonight. I did pick the Dolphins. I would stick to them. That they have been hot over the last month or so. Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers did look good in his last game, but you playing a motivated Dolphins team. I don't see it being a blowout, especially with Watt not being there on the defensive side for Pittsburgh. What's your forecast for this game? Have you changed your mind since I picked last Friday?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very windy. It's going to be 14-mile-an-hour winds and 22 degrees. So that might, help. I know. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it's not like Tua hasn't played in cold weather before. He played in the SEC. I know it's been cold in a few of those games he played at. So, and look, this could be one of those ugly games, like 9-6 and 6-3. I wouldn't be surprised if Troy Aikman tells a story about some of the games that he played back in the day when it was cold like this. Playing, Philadelphia and New York. But yeah, it could be one of those 6-3, 9-6 type of deals because of TJ Watt being out and such. So yeah, that might help the Dolphins a little bit. But the Dolphins got an outside shot, even though I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But they can definitely play spoiler for somebody. And I think, look, don't be surprised if they do it, the Steelers, because I'm not so on the Steelers. So I would be surprised if if the Dolphins beat the Steelers tonight.
Yeah, and let's not forget, with Baltimore winning yesterday, winning in convincing fashion, it puts that much pressure on the Steelers to keep their slim division lead within the AFC North. So we'll see what happens as, once again, NFL Week 15 will conclude tonight with the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Miami Dolphins. You can see that game on ESPN and the Manning Cast on ESPN2 at 7:15 p.m. Central Standard Time.
I know we're well past the break, but yeah, we're gonna take a really quick break. Of course, I don't know when the books. I don't know what to on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll have Old School TV Monday, college hoops as Illinois has a tough loss to Nebraska. Also, college football season starts in college football. A historical Heisman Trophy winner. And a whole lot more. But first, we're going to talk about the NBA as the Bulls, whatever. But it's
only the Bulls.
It's down to the final to the NBA Cup, and even perhaps maybe even a budding new Western Conference rivalry. We'll have that and a whole lot more coming next. LaKeena McGee, City Battle, Second City Sports on Sports in Chicago. Hoop Talk coming up right after this.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings.
I have my dogs. They're the best.
I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books.
I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball.
Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
It's a romance sport. What? It's a romance sport like that.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, no matter where we serve, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Every body in a work zone is someone's somebody.
This is my mom. She works for KDOT.
This is my dad.
This is my mom.
This is my daddy.
This is my sister.
This is my daddy.
This is my son, Scott. He was killed while working in a highway work zone. When you drive through a work zone, drive like a life depends on it. Because it does.
Welcome back to Second City Sports at hour number 2 of the hashtag Bears Victory Monday edition. You're locked and loaded, and we're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my King McGee on the Twitter, X, and again IG.
We're going to kick off hour number 2 of hashtag Bears Victory Monday as we discuss the Bulls split weekend for better or for worse, and we'll discuss the NBA Cup and what's going on from around the rest of the associations to kick off our hour number 2. If you have any questions or comments regarding those subjects, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. We'll get them up on the screen for you.
It was a mixed bag for the Bulls as they did beat Charlotte. They edged them out 129-126 on the road. 26 points for Josh Giddey and 11 assists, so a double-double for him. Kobe White had 20 points as well. Zach Collins and Patrick Williams had 16 off the bench each for the Bulls. So, okay, nice showing. Broke that 6-game losing streak. Okay. But then you fast forward to yesterday. Well, the only Pelicans, 2 of their 3 wins, 2 of their 5 wins, I should say, have been against the Bulls. 114-104 as the Pelicans beat the Bulls last night at home at the UC. Kobe White had 20 points in a losing effort for the Bulls, as well as Kevin Huerter had 16 off the bench. On the flip side for the Pelicans, 20 points for Jeremiah Fears, Trey Murphy, the third, I should say, had 20 points as well. Zion had 18 off the bench for the Pelicans. So, yeah, the Bulls go to 10-15. They play Cleveland on Wednesday at home. So they go 1-1. I mean, look, I know there has been a lot of empathy for the Bulls, especially in the last few games, especially since that big start that they had. But again, I think unfortunately this is sort of one of those things where you're just like, what can you really do at this point? Unfortunately.
Yeah, you hope that Kobe White can stay healthy, just in case that the Bulls front office wants to trade him at the trade deadline. We won't get too much into the trade deadline stuff today. Excuse me, next show on Friday. But as I said, as you said last week, he's your best trade piece to get get the most out of him back. But as far as the actual play on the court, that's worth to this Bulls team. Patrick Williams, he's MIA in my mind. If you get something better than what he's been giving you all year, that will be a big bonus. My guy Jalen Smith is starting to come through a little bit. You mentioned Kevin Huerter. He had a nice start to the season when Kobe White was out due to injury. He's played in very well now. He's starting to find his footing. I'm talking about Kevin Huerter. And, of course, Josh Giddey, he's Mr. Triple W. He's not going to dominate offensively, scoring 30 points a game, but he has those intangibles that can be a piece to a good team. So the Bulls right now, that they're consistently inconsistent. Like you said, they had to barely hang on to beat the Charlotte Hornets, and then you lose again to New Orleans Pelicans, one of the 2 worst teams in the league next to the Washington Wizards. That is just unacceptable. But I think the major question here is he had 12 points and 8 rebounds, only 31 minutes of action. What's going on with Vooch? He had a nice start to the season, and I wonder why.
Yeah, it's interesting that Vooch, I've seen, like I said, I can only watch highlights, but from what I've seen, the highlights, yeah, he's definitely been struggling. So you hope it's not an injury thing, and maybe it's just because mentally he's out and he probably wants to be gone from the Bulls. So but I think he has to play better for him to actually get something of value for him. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Bulls can muster up a little bit of a run here to kind of like try to maybe see if you can trade a piece or 2 to try to get something of value. So for me, I think especially with this game coming up on Wednesday against Cleveland. I mean, I know Cleveland still, I know they've had their struggles this year, but yeah, I think this is going to be one of those things where you're just like, I think the Bulls just need to get out of this funk that they're in.
Yeah, and also to another young guy that has to play better. He only had now 9 points last night. And that's Mates Buzelis. And I know Billy Donovan benched him a couple of weeks ago. He did respond immediately, but he's going back to his funk right now. And like I said last night, it just wasn't a good showing for Buzelis. Only 9 points, a terrible shooting night for him. He needs to get back on track as well. I know he said before the start of the season that he wants to win the Most Improved Player award. As I said during our preview show, I believe 6 out of the last 7 winners, average of the most improved player, average more than 20 points per game. I think he's in the lower teens now, 12, 13, somewhere around in there. I have to check last time I checked. But his scoring has to improve. His shooting has to improve. He'll just be more aggressive. And I think that's the main thing about Mates Buzelis. His aggressiveness on the offensive end has to improve. Now, it started off hot in the beginning of the year, but lately it's just been in a constant funk. So he needs to improve. As I said, Nikolai Vucevic, ever since he did what he did against Washington a few weeks ago, his game has taken a nosedive at this point. So both those guys need to have their games improved. So the Bulls want to be competitive. I can't believe we're saying this after a 6-1 start. Now, I didn't have the Bulls going to the finals or going deep into the playoffs or anything like that with that 6-1 start, but for this team to be competitive, both Nikolai Vucevic and Mates Buzelis most importantly have to get back on track.
Absolutely. So they'll definitely see what happens there. Now going to the rest of the league. Well, Golden State unfortunately says Steph went back. Steph hit a shot from the tunnel on Friday before the game against Minnesota. People thought it was AI. That really was legit. So there have been multiple angles, so people can relax on that. Unfortunately, well, he's been okay. He had 48 last night against Portland in Portland, but unfortunately, they've lost both those games. They lost that game as well to Minnesota, to 27 points for Julius Randle, 39 for Steph in his first game back. Unfortunately, like I said, they went 0 for this weekend. The Lakers, it was a weird. That game was very weird yesterday against Phoenix. They were up 20 because they had a big run. Now, Phoenix has her back late in the fourth with their own run, the 20-1 run. Dylan Brooks actually hit a 3. They took the lead, bumped LeBron. He got ejected. And, of course, LeBron, came in and, was fouled on the 3, hit two or three, and they ended up winning the game. So, probably one of the weirder games you've seen so far this year. 116, 114. That was just that game was just very weird on all fronts.
Yeah, you mentioned about Phoenix. Devin Booker is now back. Remember the last time these two teams played a couple weeks ago at Staples. Yeah, I'm calling it Staples. Devin Booker went out with that injury, and now he's back in the lineup. He actually did well last night. But Dylan Brooks and LeBron James, this goes back to Memphis and the Lakers playing in the playoffs a few years ago. Him and LeBron James, Brooks has something for LeBron James, whatever the hell it is, I don't know. But like you said, it was one of the weirdest secrets I've seen all year in the NBA. But the Lakers with their depth, as we talked about, I know Austin Reeves has been injured, but DeAndre Ayton against his former team had another nice game last night. So it's all about the Lakers' depth at this point because Luka does what he does. And so the Lakers, they're 18-7 right now. Depth is going to be the key for them this year. They can stay healthy because we know what Luka could do. Well, we know that Austin Reeves could do when he's healthy. DeAndre Ayton has been a nice surprise in a good way for the Lakers this year. And LeBron James could come in and do what he does from a secondary role standpoint. He doesn't have to be the man like he has been throughout his whole career. So he's taking a back seat, and the Lakers supporting cast could continue to help him and Luka. I think they'll be okay. They're 18-7 right now. One of the top teams in the Western Conference. If they stay healthy, I think they could be up there, just like they were last year. They got Luka at the trade deadline.
It'll be interesting to see if they can keep it. Now, I'll say in the Western Conference, Minnesota, they went 2-0 over the weekend. Like I said, they beat Steph. They spoiled Steph's return there in that game on Friday. Now, last night, I should say, they had no trouble with Sacramento. And remember, keep in mind, they're doing this without Anthony Edwards. He's still out. But guys like Julius Randle stepped up. Nas Reed had 20 off the bench last night. Jaden McDaniels, DiVincenzo, Bones Highland has had probably his best, has had some of his best games of his whole career. So they're 17-9 right now. They're kind of quietly And I guess if you ask Chris Finch, I think he's probably happy about that. He's probably glad that they're kind of sneaking in under the radar. But
Yeah.
I really like it when I really like it when I'm seeing with this T-Wolves squad so far.
Yeah, that depth is being tested right now, as you mentioned. We talked about them last year being the difference makers in their run to the Western Conference Finals last year, especially in an upset win against the Lakers in the first round last year. As you mentioned with their head coach, well, other teams are being talked about more than Minnesota, Denver, Houston, which I know we'll get to in a second, of course, with the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, Minnesota's quietly making a case for being at that top spot now. Will they replicate the success they had the last couple of years? I'm not sure when it's all said and done, but right now they're just taking advantage of it and going on about their business.
Mm-hmm. Brooklyn beat Milwaukee. Atlanta beat Philadelphia. Charlotte needed overtime, but they beat Cleveland 119-111. Canelpo, 29 points. Career high for him in his young career. Washington beat Indy. Now, the NBA Cup, the Emirates Arena Cup in Las Vegas. The Knicks pulled away from Orlando 132-120. Jalen Brunson had 40 points there. But probably the game of the night, if you guys watch this, was the Spurs edging. Yeah, me too. So Spurs edging out the Thunder 111-109. And it's interesting because Wembanyama came back. They decided to come off the bench. He had 22 points, including a big jumper to help lead the Spurs over the Thunder. Now, as far as the Thunder, 29 points for SGA, 17 for Jalen Williams. I think if you're a Thunder fan, you're like, okay, it would have been nice, but you're not really too broken up that you lost. But it definitely is the makings of a solid new rivalry in the Western Conference, though.
And you mentioned about that game. I watched that whole game via this computer screen. I think San Antonio is doing it right. Victor Wembanyama is the key to that franchise, even though those other stars have done well without him for the last almost month. That Wembanyama was out of the lineup. Those last 4 games he's been out of the lineup. And they're one of the top teams in the Western Conference as well. But the Spurs did right by Wembanyama, using him sporadically here and there in 21 minutes. You notice when he was in the game, he changed that whole entire game, not only offensively but defensively as well. Chet Holmgren wasn't coming in the lane like that. Isaiah Hartenstein wasn't coming in the lane like that. Certainly SGA was not coming in the lane like that when Wembanyama's in the game. Wembanyama affects the game 94 feet on both ends of the floor. And so the reason why he's talked about is an MVP candidate because he has the offensive skills, what you need for today's game, the pull-up J. He also have a good post-up game, but his biggest impact is defensively. And he's very athletic as well. So you saw all those skills on display last Saturday. And like you said, if San Antonio should make it to the playoffs this year, if they face Oklahoma City, it's going to be one hell of a battle. I'm not saying San Antonio is on OKC's level yet, not even close. But Wembanyama stays healthy and San Antonio continues to get a good play from Stephon Castle, last year's Rookie of the Year, and De'Aaron Fox is there as well. If he can stay healthy, I think, like I said in the beginning of the season, San Antonio can be dangerous if they can sneak into the playoffs.
Should be just as easy. Nice job by Mitch Johnson, though, as his first year full-time as a head coach.
Another sneaky candidate for head coach of the year as well.
Yep. Friday, because we gotta get through this because we're against it. But like I said, the T-Wolves over Golden State. Steph's first game back, he had 39. But like I said, Julius Randle had 27. Dallas, Anthony Davis had 24 points as they beat Brooklyn. Utah held off Memphis. Cleveland beat Washington. Philadelphia beat Indy. And if you took the over on this game, you had a nice start to your weekend. Detroit over Atlanta easily. Isaiah Stewart has 17 points. And of course, the Bulls over Charlotte on Friday.
Yeah, Detroit, they're going to struggle at some point, but that's a very good basketball team. We talked about them in the playoffs last year. They should have beaten the Knicks in that first round series, but they're a better team this year. And if they can stay healthy, maybe they get a Trajan Langdon there, GM. Maybe they could add a piece at the trade deadline. Who knows? But that's a very good Detroit Pistons basketball team. Will they stay at the top of the East? This could be the year to do it. I don't know, but that's a very good basketball team. So I wouldn't sleep past Detroit.
Speaking of Detroit, as we go into this week's games, they go to Boston in the first game of the Peacock doubleheader at 6 o'clock tonight. Toronto beat Miami. Dallas beat Utah. Houston, they've been off the last 2 days, so they're back in action as they face Jokic, Murray, and the Nuggets. That game will also be streamed on Peacock at 8:30, and Memphis and the Clippers.
Yep. And you mentioned the Pistons and Celtics and Rockets and Nuggets can be seen on Peacock and NBCSN. So if you don't have Peacock, you have NBCSN on your cable or satellite provider. You can watch those two games on that channel as well. Going to Tuesday, tomorrow's action is the NBA Cup Championship that can be seen exclusively on Amazon Prime. It will be the Victor Wembanyama in the San Antonio Spurs versus Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and the New York Knicks. So yes, you'll see Spike Lee. He's been there all weekend. He'll be there courtside tomorrow night in Vegas. So the NBA Cup Championship will feature the Spurs and the Knicks. The rematch of the 1999 NBA Finals tomorrow night on NBA on Amazon Prime. Should the Knicks win that game, LaKeena, a couple of you Knicks fans, including Stephen A. Smith, whether he likes it or not, they'll go crazy. Oh, this is a get back from 1999.
Well, they're going to be in Vegas too. I want to see if Spike tries to intimidate Wemby. Wemby probably was looking at him like, they'll look at him.
That'll be his next
like,
commercial.
Yeah, do get out of here. Just 2 games on Wednesday. Of course, the Bulls will be back in action as they host Cleveland, Memphis, and Minnesota. That should be an interesting one. I might check out that game on NBA TV at 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
Full slate for Thursday. Watch out for these games now. Atlanta will visit Charlotte. The Knicks and Pacers will do battle. Oh, that was a matchup 25 years ago. Miami will visit Brooklyn. NBA TV Thursday night game will feature the struggling Clippers against Oklahoma City Thunder. The Wizards will visit the Spurs. Toronto will visit Milwaukee. Houston will visit New Orleans. Detroit and Dallas will do battle from the Texas State. The Magic, who were eliminated on Saturday, they'll get back at it. They'll face the Denver Nuggets. Golden State and Phoenix will do battle. The Lakers and the Jazz once again. And rounding up the Thursday night schedule will be the Sacramento Kings at 6-20. They'll face the Portland Trail Blazers. And that's your schedule for Thursday and for this week in the National Basketball Association.
I like to see what kind of mood OKC will be in after losing to San Antonio. They might beat out the Clippers. Who knows? SGA might not be in a very good mood, so we'll see what happens on Thursday.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went for 50. We need to take our 2-2 break right here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. LaKeena here with you. When we return, we'll get into college basketball. The final line night, they lose a heartbreaker at the buzzer to Fred Hoiberg's Nebraska Cornhuskers, and we'll revisit some of the top stories in the NFL, and we'll have Old School TV Monday to wrap up today's show. That and a whole lot more as you're listening to hashtag Bears Victory Monday edition of Second City Sports live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the Superback, Sean Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Got it done here. Ouch! And we're gonna make sure you lit this time. Ouch! You're not gonna get me this time.
Ow, Manny!
sports.
Let's try an easy one.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe, but some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Hey, this is Corey McGee, and I listen to Sean and Maya on the morning show.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. You're locked and loaded and we're live and living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's LaKeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
This is our last break of the show for today. So if you need last minute questions or comments for us or any other topics that we discussed thus far on today's show, including that Bears 31-3 victory over the Cleveland Browns at the Lakefront yesterday, you can definitely hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. LaKeena will get the up on the screen for you.
Back to the hardwood we go, this time in college, as there were a couple of really solid games over the weekend, as some of these schools are kind of going to get ready for their semester break. So we'll probably see a lot of games this week, but even still, Saturday was a good slate of games. We got Arizona, no trouble with Alabama. Braden Burries had 28 points for Arizona as they hold on to the number one spot there as they beat Alabama. Michigan, Yaxel Limborg had 29 as they beat Maryland, and their best start, first time they've been undefeated this season since I think probably around the last time they competed for a national championship, I believe. Purdue beat Marquette. Houston, no trouble with New Orleans. Gonzaga held off UCLA. Michigan State held off. That was a good game for Michigan State, but they made the plays late. They held off Penn State. BYU, no trouble, UC Riverside. Louisville beat Penny Hardaway and his Memphis Tigers.
That was ugly.
Yeah, that was. But a good one here for Saturday. If you guys saw this game, in between some of the college football that was on. Nebraska, for the first time ever in their program history, they're now undefeated, 11-0, as they get a big win in Champaign against Illinois. And yeah, that was a tough game, but Jamarcus Lawrence, buzzer beater, he knew when he hit that, when he shot that, it was going to go in, and boy, did it got nothing but net. No fake call here as Nebraska beats Illinois down there in Champaign.
I'm not going to pretend to know everything about Nebraska basketball. I will say this. We saw some signs that they could be good this year for what they did last year. Shout out to former NBA player, one-time Bulls head coach Fred Hoiberg, who's now coaching Nebraska. His team's legit, LaKeena. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win the Big Ten. You still got to go through Tom Izzo and Michigan State. You still have Ohio State. You still have the Michigan Wolverines to attest to, and perhaps Wisconsin as well. He knows that, so I'm not going to say that he's going to win the Big Ten, but they're going to be a tough goal for those top teams that you mentioned in the Big Ten. On the other side for Illinois, their perimeter defense is terrible. We talk about they have a whole lot of shooters on offense, but defensively, especially in the perimeter defense was terrible. Nebraska shot 46% from the 3-point stripe. They were on from start to finish, literally. In Illinois, they got back in the game, but you got the feeling, especially late in the game, they just couldn't get over that hump. and that is exactly what happened. I believe 14 to 20 from the free throw line for Illinois. That's not going to get it done, especially in close games like that. You have to hit your free throws, and Illinois just couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's kind of been the key to cover the losses because the fact that they were able to shoot their free throws late when they needed to. And look, give Nebraska credit. I mean, they had a big run. Illinois came back. Illinois, they had another big run. Illinois came back again. Kylan Boswell, the loser, ever had 20 points, season high for him. Let that come back for Illinois, but unfortunately, the Nebraska did the little things, and we'll see what happens. They got a couple of tough games coming up that but Nebraska is for real, folks. So get to know Fred Hoiberg and his guys, including Sam, who is a big, very prominent on that squad as well. North Carolina, no trouble with North Carolina South Carolina upset, I should say. Vandy beat Central Arkansas. That's defining Scottie Pippins there for those who are scoring at home. Arkansas with a nice win over Texas Tech. Florida pulled away from George Washington. Melvin Council Jr. had 36 points, and including, I believe he scored all 11 points of the overtime as Kansas, they needed to get down to the wire, but they held off NC State 77-76. Auburn beat Chattanooga. St. John's over Rick Pitino's old squad, Iona. Among some of the others, DePaul with a nice win over Wichita State. Miami beat Louisiana Monroe. Northwestern finished up their non-conference play. No trouble with Jackson State. Georgia beats Cincy. Notre Dame beats Evansville. Let's see here. Anything else of note? Oregon, no trouble with UC Davis. Clemson beat Mercer. UIC with a tough loss against Belmont down there in Nashville to start off play there as well. Kentucky beat Indiana. They needed that win. They had struggled for the last couple of weeks, so they really needed a big win like that. LSU over SMU, and that's it. Mississippi State beat Utah, so that kind of could go a long way there. But yeah, that's about it for Saturday. Seton Hall beat Rutgers. Seton Hall, Shaheen Holloway leading his guys at 10-1 start as they get ready for conference play too.
Yeah, shout out to him. Just a couple of scores locally from yesterday, Sunday. Chicago State, yes, I believe Chris Sorge is the AD now over there on the south side. They beat Loyola Chicago. Yes, the Sister Jean, RIP to her. The Sister Jean scored 84-75. And Indiana State beat Milwaukee by 2. And another local score to pass along. Shout out to Bradley. They beat North Central Illinois 86-53.
Also, Iowa State, no letdown from that Iowa win. They beat Eastern Illinois pretty easily. And USC beats Wazoo with an old Big Ten, Pac-10 / Pac-12 showdown there as well in the nightcap. Now, like I said, with it being this time of year, you're not going to see a lot of the top teams play because they're getting ready for finals and stuff. There are a couple of games of note though. Louisville and Tennessee, that should be a good one on ESPN tomorrow on Tuesday. And Peacock and also NBC Sports Network, DePaul, they start off conference playing the Big East as they face St. John's at 6 o'clock.
Yep, and also tomorrow, North Carolina play. So I lost it here. Let me get these. Okay, North Carolina will play ETSU. For those of you who don't know who that school is, you can put it in the chat. They'll play on ACC Network tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. That's on the ACC Network. Other games of note, Valparaiso and Northwestern will get it on tomorrow on Peacock. That's at 7 o'clock Chicago time. Chris Collins' crew they're checking in at 6-4 on the year. As you mentioned, they got a big win against Jackson State, no problem, by 40 points the other night. So let's see if they can continue their momentum they built off the last game.
Yeah, I think Frank Williams is over there, former Illinois guard who was a part of that 05 squad that got to the championship game. I think he's still over there at Valparaiso. UConn, again, Big East starting conference play. They host Butler. That's also going to be on Peacock. Arizona, BYU, Arkansas, Kansas, they all face non-conference opponents on the various ESPN networks. Kansas hosts Townsend on ESPN2 tomorrow. Let's see here. Go ahead.
Yeah. For Wednesday, shout out to our good friend Jay Hood from ESPN 1000, the voice of USC Flames basketball and baseball too. USC will host Northern Iowa in an all-important conference showdown. That's at 4 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday on ESPN Plus. Northern Iowa 8-2. The Panthers are 8-2. The Flames are 4-6. After you mentioned that tough loss on Saturday on the road at Belmont.
Yeah, not good stuff for UIC in conference play. Well, in general, Florida hosts St. Francis of Pennsylvania. That's good. That's at Philadelphia. That's at 5:30. Creighton and Xavier on FS1. Big East play Vanderbilt and Memphis. It's kind of like an interstate conference, interstate rivalry there. ESPN2. I know Memphis has had some struggles this year, but maybe they'll. But Vanderbilt's been playing very well since they've actually put some money into their athletic program. South Florida, Alabama, 7 o'clock. I think Alabama's not gonna be in a very good mood after losing to Arizona, so they might take it out on South Florida. So we'll see.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be on the SEC network. USC, host the Road Runners of UTSA. Beep beep. 8 o'clock on the Big Ten network. Arizona State and UCLA. Old Pac-12 / Pac-10 rivals on FS1 at 9:30, and Oregon hosts Portland on BTN at 10 o'clock. The late matchup.
All right, 2 games of note locally. Locally in college basketball for Thursday. Bradley and Indiana State, 2 7-4 teams that can be seen on ESPN Plus at 6 o'clock. That's on Thursday. Followed by Illinois State versus Southern Illinois. That's at 8 o'clock p.m. on Thursday, also on ESPN Plus.
Gotta love the early conference games here. Also, Georgia, they're back in the top 25. I think for the first time since Anthony Edwards was there a few years ago. I think it's been a while.
Yeah.
But Georgia's looked good so far this year. They host Western Carolina at 6 o'clock on SEC Network on Thursday. So yeah, should be an interesting one there. Hopefully they can keep it up. Now that is scheduled for this week in college hoops.
You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid LaKeena hanging out here with you, coming up as we wrap up, as we do every Monday on this program. We'll wrap it up with Old School TV Monday. But in the meantime, in between time, let's do just a little bit of that hockey, LaKeena. Of course, this season, all 6 of the original 6 teams in the National Hockey League are having their centennial celebrations, including the Blackhawks here in Chicago. I don't know if you got a chance to see it on television or on their YouTube channel, but the Blackhawks were celebrating their legends on Saturday night, paying tribute to the old Chicago Stadium. Frank Pelko, who retired a couple years ago, he was back playing the organ. Ray Mesmer, the great, sounded great during the national anthem. Pat Foley was there emceeing the ceremonies in the beginning before the Blackhawks Red Wings game. Of course, all the legends were there with Chris Chelios, Denny Savard, Jeremy Roenick, and others. It was a beautiful ceremony, but the Blackhawks received some bad news on and off the ice. Of course, they lost to Detroit last Saturday night, being shut out 4-0. But Connor Bedard, due to upper body injury, he'll be gone for the rest of the month of December. He'll be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I saw a replay of the injury. That did not look good. I guess through the upper shoulder area. But they say that right now it's not, it's week to week, as Jeff Blashill said. So I guess that's the best case scenario for the Blackhawks. That might be him on the phone right now as we speak here. But
sure ain't Kyle Davidson.
maybe. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, look, this is, I guess they're not considering surgery right now. So I guess that's a good thing if you're a Blackhawks fan. But that was a tough loss to the Red Wings yesterday. Meaning worse by the Bedard injury. So hopefully it's not serious. Hopefully he will be back next month about this time. So just, maybe just some rehab and pain tolerance. We'll see. Now they do play the Maple Leafs tomorrow in Toronto. As you can see that game on ESPN Plus. So hopefully they can get back on track. I know they've had let some guys go. Due to lack of production, if you will, but yeah, hopefully they can at least get back to some of the team we saw earlier this year.
Yeah, hopefully you have guys like Frank Nazar and Tyler Bertuzzi step up for Chicago. Spencer Knight, as we talked about all year long, he's that guy in net. He's in the top 3 in NHL in goalies for save percentage, around close to 92%. So, well, the Hawks really need to step it up offensively. They've been a very good defensive team, very good on the penalty kill, by the way, top 5 of that. But offensively, they're going to have to step up just a little bit more without the absence of Connor Bedard. So it's definitely going to be a team effort, and we'll see what happens if they go into at least these next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, especially going into the end of the year. We'll see where they are at this point now. No one say that they'll be right there for the Western Conference, but I think they could definitely be that team that can kind of perhaps maybe give teams fits, if you will. So we'll see what happens there. I guess Carolina, like I said, how I like that Carolina squad. They're still playing very well, but Colorado, they got easily the best record in the league. They got the most points too at 53 as we're recording this. So for me, so far, that Avs squad has been really good. Nate McKinnon is right up there in goals. He had another goal, another assist last night a couple of days ago as they beat the Preds, their 11th straight home win. So we'll see. Like I said, we've seen like a lot of moving parts in the NHL. So yeah, they might still be the best, best after the first of the year, but you got other teams that are right there. So we'll see.
Right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports All Chicago. Sid LaKeena here with you. I know that most people weren't paying attention to this on Saturday night. Yours surely didn't pay attention until you woke up yesterday morning. But another shock here. Indiana's quarterback Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy in a close vote, but there was a couple of players behind him that were throwing shade on social media. Not good, according to some. Please explain.
Yeah, Diego Pavia for Vanderbilt. Well, he was celebrating with his teammates. He basically said F Mendoza, F Indiana. He actually had this long apology, which I think that was I don't know if it was ChatGTP that wrote it, but I think it was also mostly his PR people that probably told him that. Basically, F the Heisman voters and stuff like that. I'm just like, yeah, that's not very classy if you do. He tried to walk it back, but that was just a terrible, just not a good showing. Just poor sportsmanship on his part. Now, for Mendoza's part, I mean, he's keeping it classy. If you saw his speech, it was very sweet. He said a little bit in Spanish, for his grandparents who came, from Cuba. That his mom has MS, so his dad's been caring for her, and of course his brother is right there behind him. He's a couple years younger than him, and he's right there. He's also in Indiana, so we'll see if he's the heir apparent. And interesting to note as well, he's the fourth straight transfer to win the Heisman in the last few years. So now you're seeing all these guys defecting from their respective schools, like DJ Langley from Florida, Aiden Childs from Michigan State. So I guess they're starting. Maybe this will be another trend next year, but. Yeah, congrats to Mendoza. Of course, the first time ever. I think he's only like the 7th Big Ten player. I think the last guy, of course, was Charles, was all the way back in 98. Of course, he beat Peyton Manning to win the Heisman for the Big Ten, but also the very first in Indiana history. But yeah, I mean, just Pavia really that's just not very classy on his part.
Yeah, definitely not smart. I know that the bowl season you mentioned will get going later on this week. I know the first round of the college football playoff games will take place starting on Friday with Alabama and Oklahoma. Like we'll say right now, we'll give you our exclusive previews and predictions of those games coming up on our next show on Friday. So be looking out for that as the college bowl season gets underway and the college football playoff games, most importantly, will get underway on Friday. Check us out in our next episode. We'll give you our previews and predictions on those games because I think, unlike last year, I think this year it's a little bit more expected. It's 12 teams again. I think it's going to be more exciting than it was last year. Just in my opinion.
Yeah, not to now again. Of course, the bowl season. I guess South Carolina State beat Prairie View in the cricket celebration bowl. Of course, that's the battle of the 2 top HBCU schools. Of course, you had the battle of the bands. A lot of fun. The Bulldogs of South Carolina State came back and beat Prairie View 40-38. In 4 overtimes. That was a fun game. Also, Washington beat Boise State pretty easily, 38-10 in the Bucked Up LA Bowl, so out in Los Angeles. So a nice showing by Washington to finish up their season. So yeah, I mean, as far as the college football, but like I said, we'll get into that, on Friday. But yeah, I mean, you got some decent bowl games coming up. We'll recap those. We'll preview the playoff games and such. You got Florida, Alabama. Yeah, you got Alabama and OU, and then of course you got Miami and A&M, as well as Tulane and and Mississippi, and of course James Madison, Oregon. Now, like I said, now again, I know some people say, well, why is JMU in the playoff? But I think, I think they'll probably give Oregon. I think if you're Oregon, you got to get that mindset going that you're not going to walk all over James Madison. So I think you got to have that kind of mindset. But like I said, we'll get more into it as we get into the close to the playoff on Friday.
All right, before we get to Old School TV Monday, one note in baseball, another free agent signing that affected the White Sox over the weekend. Josh Bell, longtime major leaguer, he's been bounced around a little bit over the last few years, but he got his career started with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was with the Washington Nationals last year. He's a left-handed bat. He batted .237, had 22 home runs and 63 RBI. He is taking his talents to the Minnesota Twins for 1 year as they're starting to rebuild. So
yeah,
I thought that could have been a decent option for the Southsiders of Chicago. Ryan O'Hearn is still out there from Kansas City, but LaKeena, as I said before, I'll say it again. Miguel Vargas at first base? No. Lennon Sosa with the biggest hole in his bat, bigger than my ball head? No. You still need to go out and get a first baseman. Everybody knows that itself for Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf. Chris Getz, I know some people said that he had a productive winter meetings, whatever the hell that means. Okay, he got the number one pick, whoop-de-doo. But he's going to get creative with his trades now due to a limited budget, as we knew coming into this offseason. But another realistic candidate to play first base for a year or two is off the board.
Yeah, that's another good one there. Yeah, I think Bell would have been a nice pickup for the White Sox, but going to Minnesota, he'll probably be more like a DH, so we'll see what happens there. Now, there's still a lot of guys out there on the market. We got JT Realmuto. I know that's probably a name that a lot of people, from the Cubs would want to maybe perhaps see and such. It'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I mean, get about 6 or 7 weeks before spring training. I think you're going to see Alex Bregman is also another name, of course, is still out there. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully somebody, hopefully the chips will start falling here within the next week. Probably not, maybe not till after Christmas. So I think.
Speaking of prediction, I predict that probably Cal Tucker will be signed by the calendar year, by New Year's Day 2026, because I know he's looking for the biggest deal possible because Scott Boras represents him and all that. My prediction is he'll sign somewhere else, not here in Chicago. And I was reminded by Bruce Levine over the weekend on his weekend baseball show on 670 The Score that we talked about the Cubs possible trade candidates to get their starting pitcher. I knew about Ian Happ, but add Seiya Suzuki's name to the list. Both those guys are free agents after next year. Both those guys have no trade clauses. So even if Jed and Carter Hawkins went to both of them and convinced them to, waive their no trade clauses, they still have the option at the end of the day to say no. So it makes it that much harder for Jed Hoyer to go get some starting pitchers. Maybe he had to trade Nico Horner. He's going to trade somebody else that the fans may not like, but Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki both had no trade clauses, so both of them will be here for at least through next year.
Also, you got Cody Bellinger still out there on the market too. So yeah, we're just to see if we'll see if somebody does something. So we'll see what happens.
All right, and then as we do after closing out every show for Mondays here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, we like to take time to salute an old school TV show from back in the day, the shows that we watch, our grandparents or parents watch, and this week is no different. Yours truly, along with LaKeena McGee, more importantly, we will salute the American TV sitcom series Too Close for Comfort that aired on ABC from 1980 until to May 5th, 1983. It was a first run syndication from 1984 until February of 1987. The name was changed to the Ted Knight Show when the show was retooled in 1986 for its 6th season, which would turn out to be the last due to Ted Knight's death. The original concept of the series was based on the 1980s British sitcom Keep It in the Family. Knight plays at work-at-home cartoonist Harry Rush, who is married to Muriel. Their two daughters, Jackie and Sarah, they live downstairs in the apartment of their San Francisco two-flat. In the episode involving the daughters moving across the bay to Oakland and the family complaining about crime, undrinkable water, and constant sound of police sirens, saw the episode being briefly protested by Oakland politicians. Their family moves to Marin County for the show's final season, where Henry Rush becomes the co-owner of the local weekly newspaper.
Yeah, it definitely had its moments. It was just such a great, it was just a really solid show. It actually did very well in the ratings, but ABC moved the show, I think, to Tuesday, and it got, pummeled, and that's why it got canceled. But, thank God for syndication back in those days. They were able to save it. Got another 3 seasons. Got rebranded to 10 Night Show in the last season. It got, unfortunately, Ted Knight died in 87 due to cancer, and didn't like the way it ended because they kind of wrote around him. They tried to kind of, those last 10 or 12 episodes, if you guys remember, they wrote around his absence, and who knows what would have happened had the show gotten picked up. They probably had to retool the show again. They got rid of both the daughters, and such. Jim J. Bullock, who I loved as Monroe, he was kind of like the Steve Urkel before Steve Urkel, because he kind of took over the show.
That's true.
After the last few episodes, so but I love him though, and he's still. Good thing he's doing well. I know he's had some health issues recently, but I know he's doing well there. Ness is still doing her, living it up in her 80s. The ladies that played the daughters, Lydia Cornell, she's a great follow to her, as well as Deborah Von Bockenberg. And just a really solid show. Of course, they added a baby, if you believe it or not, the late in life baby near the halfway through the second season to kind of beef up the show a little bit, but it was really good for what it was. So I really liked the concept. There were a couple of episodes I think you know which episode I'm talking about that didn't rub me the right way. Thank God they got rid of that episode. If you guys know what I'm talking about, Google's your friend, folks. I won't get into it, but it wouldn't be funny now. It was 1982, but still, it would not be funny, if it was written now. Well, I'll say it like that. Thank God they pulled it out of the rotation, so you got to worry about that.
Yeah.
But even still, look, he was funny, and I know his little tidbit that you're probably going to say about Ted Knight, what he did with the sweaters that he wrote for every episode. I know you probably have the story on that. If you don't, I can tell it if you want me to tell it.
Yeah, I'll let you tell it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he would wear sweatshirts from different colleges. Whether it's small colleges and such or big colleges. They were actually even some HBCU colleges. The schools actually sent him the sweaters, and he would wear them on the show. He wanted to kind of give the shout.
Before Bill Cosby.
Yep. So before Cosby started wearing those type of sweaters, remember Ted Knight did that too for just about the whole run. Well, the first season run. I think he did a little bit in the second run, but it definitely did those for three or four seasons. He definitely wore a lot of those sweaters. I think he wore I forgot which one. I think he wore like a a FAMU sweater, I believe. And like I haven't watched the show in a few years, but it's on YouTube and on Tubi, and I think it's just added on Peacock too about a month ago. But he would definitely give a shout out to those small colleges, especially the HBCUs.
Yeah, and also too, it's on archive.org as well. After the University of Michigan appeared in the pilot episode, students begin sending in shirts from their school for Ted Knight to wear on the program. 107 schools in total were all included, with Oregon State University and Northwestern University. Yes, the Northwestern here in Chicago. Time for the most appearances for the sweaters being worn on the show. And just real quick, looking at some of the notable guest stars that appeared on the show included Pete Haskell, Jim Davis. Yes. Who's Jim Davis? He is creator of the comic strip Garfield. Walter Lantz, the creator of Woody Woodpecker, Ray Middleton, Ernie Wise, Graham Jarvis, and Elise Knight, the daughter of Ted Knight, as Samantha Bishop in the episode The Runaway in 1984.
Yeah, I remember that episode. Like I said, you can watch you can watch episodes on Tubi. It's streaming on Tubi. Also, they just added on Peacock a couple of months ago, so you guys can check that out. Also on Prime Video as well. And also it comes on, I think, like every weekend on Pluto TV. It's also on their app as well, so you guys can watch that. So it's definitely accessible. So it's right there if you guys haven't watched it. I put some of the episodes are on YouTube as well.
All right. So for this week for Old School TV Monday, we salute the 1980 sitcom from ABC and from the syndication network, Too Close for Comfort. LaKeena, take us home.
Monroe. You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter, and the IG.
That was a good one.
I had to do it. But R.I.P. Ted Knight.
Yes. You can follow your Shirley Sidney Brown on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Be sure to download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in Live in Color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in Live in Color every Monday, every Friday from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And if you missed out on our Old School TV Monday at 7 or our NFL Power Hour, no worries. You can catch it anytime, anywhere on the Sports Zone Chicago Facebook and YouTube channels. You can catch replays of our show, Sean Sierra Sports, the Smoke Fellas, and so much more. Catch the replays anytime, anywhere on Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels. Thank you guys so much. I know our replay numbers have been up the last
get them up some more, folks.
So,
get them up some more.
Yeah, tell your friends about us.
Yes, and you know we will provide.
All right, I know we can go soldier on through this cold weather because after Wednesday it's supposed to be a little bit warmer, a lot warmer. Well, like the tropical, the Cook Islands. So, so if you guys are still doing some holiday shopping, enjoy it. Those of you who celebrate Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah. Yes, this is the third day of Hanukkah. So, happy Hanukkah to anybody all our Jewish friends and viewers and all of those who celebrate. Stay warm and just be careful out there. I know it was a tough weekend, but you just gotta take it one day at a time and just gotta soldier on. Force and I'm the kids of the Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. Enjoy all the sports, to kind of get away from all the bad stuff that's going on in the world right now. And we'll see you guys on Friday.
Do 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 boo 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 boo. Dog Bears, holla.